"Sir, you're not on the list. This section is reserved for VIP guests only," the usher said without looking up, his voice firm, indifferent. The old man standing in front of him shifted uncomfortably, adjusting his weathered navy blazer and gripping the small gift-wrapped box in his hand. His cap, dark blue with fading gold embroidery that read 25 MC, retired, sat proudly on his head. He wasn't trying to cause trouble. He had come to see his daughter graduate, the first Torres in their family to earn a military commission. But all the man in front of him could see was someone out of place. Someone who didn't belong among the polished brass and shiny boots. "I'm her father," he said quietly, glancing past the rope barrier toward the stage. "I just want to see my daughter walk." But before he could step forward, two campus security officers appeared, their posture firm, their eyes scanning him like a threat. "Sir, we're going to have to ask you to leave. You're disrupting the ceremony." He didn't resist. He didn't raise his voice. That was never his way. He'd been taught in boot camp and on battlegrounds that sometimes silence was the most powerful weapon. So, with the gift box still in his hands, he let them walk him out of the auditorium. People turned, a few whispered. One woman even sneered, "You'd think he could at least wear a tie if this was so important." No one saw the medals that lined the inside of his jacket. No one asked about the limp in his step, or the scar that snaked down his forearm. No one noticed the service patch sewn into his chest pocket, or the years of quiet sacrifice tucked behind his silence. Inside, Emma Torres stood at the edge of the stage in her graduation gown and cap, her eyes scanning the crowd. Her smile, moments earlier full of triumph, faltered when she spotted the empty seat in the third row. Her heart sank. He promised he'd be there. He never missed anything. Not the childhood judo matches, not the late-night study sessions, not the promotion ceremony after her acceptance into the academy. She knew how hard it must have been for him to sit in a room full of uniforms after leaving the Corps behind. She also knew he would have crawled to that seat just to see her make history in their family. Outside, the old Marine sat on a cold stone bench under the shaded awning of the building. The graduation program sat unopened beside him. He didn't want to read the words. He had come to see his daughter's eyes light up when she spotted him in the crowd. Now he watched from a television monitor mounted to a concrete wall, his hands folded over the gift box in his lap. His fingers absent-mindedly rubbed the corner where the ribbon had frayed. Inside was the silver medal her mother had received before passing away. Something he had waited years to pass down. Back inside the hall, a group of seated men wearing subdued navy suits began to whisper. One of them, a broad-shouldered man with a high and tight cut and a scar cutting across his brow, leaned forward and whispered to the man next to him. "Torres," he said, "as in Luis Torres?" The second nodded slowly. "Emma's dad." A third leaned in. "No way. Luis Torres? He's here?" Another turned. "The man who carried 3 of ours out of Helmand on foot." The murmurs spread like sparks, and then, in the middle of the national anthem, 8 men stood up from their seats. Navy SEALs, quiet professionals. Decorated warriors who recognized a name and understood its weight. One of them, a commander, turned toward the stage and made eye contact with the academy director. Without needing words, he walked up to the podium and gently asked for the mic. The room quieted as the man's voice filled the auditorium. "Ladies and gentlemen, before we continue this ceremony, I need to correct something. You see, a hero was removed from this room today, a man who served 3 tours, who saved my team, who nearly died defending men who now sit in this very hall." He looked out toward the doors. "That man is Luis Torres, and he wasn't just a Marine. He's the father of Emma Torres, the cadet standing right here." The crowd murmured. The officers at the front stood. The commandant placed a hand over his heart. "Bring him in," someone said aloud. The doors opened. Luis Torres stood in the threshold, eyes wide, unsure, until he saw them, an entire hall of military men and women rising to their feet, not out of obligation, but respect. Emma stepped down from the stage, tears already tracing her cheeks. She didn't wait. She ran, past the podium, through the aisle, and straight into her father's arms. She wrapped him in a hug so tight that even the hardened SEALs looked away. Then, with his hand shaking just slightly, he opened the box and presented her mother's medal. "She'd want you to have this," he whispered. The audience erupted in applause. Luis didn't speak as the commandant walked toward him and offered a salute. He simply nodded, eyes brimming. That day, Emma Torres received not only her diploma, but a standing ovation, a tribute to her family's legacy and the moment her father was finally seen, not as a stranger at the rope, but as the man who shaped her into a leader. Before we end this story, let us know in the comment, where are you watching from? If this story touched you, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and drop a karma in the comments below.